is my pleasure and privilege today to welcome the esteemed guest from Triple ID.
Hello.
And I was actually talking to Ronak and I was telling him that, since I have myself not been introduced to all of them, and since I am from a sustainability practitioner's background, I've been working in the field of sustainability as a practitioner, not as an architect. So it will be good for you to also join. So I think this will be really good, Ronak, that if you can also join all of us, because they are all people known to you, you've been from this team. So if you don't mind, we can just take one more chair and also accommodate you, So it's better. Yeah. yeah, please. Yeah, absolutely, yes. And he's also your student, by the way. Yeah, it's better. Please. So welcome, Ronak. You've given me this privilege, so I have to reciprocate this privilege by giving you the mic to actually talk a bit about Triple ID, and then I think we can start.
So, as you all know, we have gathered here for the panel talk, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation. I know it was very much in the last moment, but we thought we'll take up something where we can just go out of experience rather than preparing much around it and share our day-to-day experience on the topic. So, I think we'll start with the panel discussion directly.
Yeah, so I think you're Aditi. So Aditi ma'am, we will start with you, I think, and we'll just, yeah. Okay, so I think, yeah. Aditi will introduce all of you. Yes? Okay, sure. So Aditi ma'am.
Okay, I will introduce everybody. Myself, architect Ashish Kala. I am presently honorary secretary Triple ID JRC and practicing from last 22 years. He is Sunil Jain. He is also an architect and he is a co-opted member in managing committee of Triple ID JRC. Shikha Singh is the executive member of Triple ID JRC, and she is an interior designer practicing from last 20 years. Earlier she was faculty in your institute also, and many institutes of Jaipur. And last, Aditi is architect as well as landscape designer. Aditi Taneja. She is a Triple ID member. Thank you. Okay, I will start. First of all, I would like to thank Ronak Rajkumar ji and Surana madam for making us the part of this event. Now the topic is sustainability is a trend or a mindset. First of all, as we are all designers and we are the students of interior designing, so let us start with the construction part of it. So sustainability is holistic in regards to building design and construction. Basically, it's a practice of designing buildings and using processes which are more of environmental friendly. And that should start at the time of schematic design, during the construction, during the operations, maintenance, or after the period of time when building deconstruct. But it is not only related, sustainability is not only related to construction part. Sustainability is a broader term. It is in use in day-to-day life of people. What I feel is like sustainability is about the quality of life we are living, the quality of products we are using. It is basically sustainability is about living within. It's basically working with the nature rather than against it. And like my friends also say, paying now. Sustainability is paying now as opposed to later. So sustainability may be a fancy word long back. Few years ago, sustainability was a fancy word. But now the perception has been changed in such an era of global warming. Now everybody has a very soft corner for this term, as I feel. And in a way, we are practicing it in our day-to-day life, maybe in any ways. So my point, in my view, sustainability is mindset. And one should cultivate rather, sustainable mindset. Thank you.
I suppose this is a very good start from the very deeper aspect of sustainability, which is mindset actually. I agree with you because you are talking about the construction part, and I think construction is one of the very deeper and very long-term economic activity which actually makes the base for the whole or the foundation for many systems to kind of come in future. So from that angle, if we start thinking about sustainability, I think we are going, building it up, in the sense that not as we are building up a whole structure, a construction structure. So we are actually building up various elements of sustainability at various stages of that process, So this is a good thought. Actually, I would like to bring your attention, ma'am, to the other aspect also. These days it is also very trendy, or it is in fad to say that I am a sustainability designer, I am a sustainability product designer, or I am a sustainability fashion designer, circular fashion designer and all. How much do you think that it is actually true that a person who is working in this space can actually be called, or up to what extent can you label somebody as a sustainability designer? What needs to be done in order to qualify for being called as a sustainability designer? Because they are all students over here and they are all studying design, So in that perspective, I would like your attention and your perspective.
Okay. Like Ashish ji rightly said, sustainability is a mindset, but I would differ a bit on that thought, because I think right now sustainability is a trend which still needs to be a mindset with everyone. And it's an expensive trend. Not everybody can afford it. That's what the mindset right now is. For example, if we want to go for solar energy, initial investment is high, therefore we don't want to invest. People, a normal middle class mindset in India probably would say, long term kisne dekha hai, we'll go with the initial investment. 1 kilowatt will cost 1 lakh. Minimum 5 to 6 kilowatt, 5-6 lakh lagane se अच्छा है, बाद में देखेंगे. So that doesn't work. We go for rainwater harvesting. There's a little extra cost involved. We go with some terracotta, like one of the girls, the presentation had terracotta, a wall for, I think, the station. Yeah, for the railway station. Now that is an expensive affair. So sustainability right now is not within our budget. But at the same time, like I think Van der Rohe said, less is more. So we need to get into that mindset. And I think interior designers hold a very important role because they do a lot of renovations. So if you're doing a renovation of a building or a house which was built in the 90s, we can do a lot of things to get it to make people feel that sustainability is possible. We can take influence from our history. If students generally don't like studying history, but actually you get a lot of information from history, how things were done then. So for the common area in the project, the railway station, you know, where there is this brick wall. So if you have a water stream near that, you don't need AC. You know, you have a green area, you don't need AC. So these are little things which we can help people understand that with little things we can actually include sustainability, especially in the renovation projects where people don't want to invest too much, but also, you know, they don't have this idea, they want luxury, दिखना चाहिए, सुंदर दिखना चाहिए, gold profile लगाओ, paneling लगाओ, उसके जगह you can, you know, introduce some art. So that can actually add on to the sustainability aspect. So right now I think it's a trend. It still needs to go into the mindset of the people.
Basically, in case of construction, we feel because the sustainability cost a lot. It's itself is not sustainable because the products are too costly to have a sustainable construction. So later on, but leave it about construction. It's a wider term. By just printing a paper, both sides, you can keep your printer automatically to print both sides. That is also sustainable. That is sustainable. So we should not only talk about construction part. Construction part will take more time and more mindset to come up with this sustainable construction.
One aspect that I wanted you to actually highlight, and I'll refer to the sir now, next to you, ma'am. So, you know, as I think they both have spoken about the construction part, I think there is more to do in terms of, you know, let's say a project, a building project, than only the construction part. I think the core construction is actually a smaller game than the other parts of it, you know, interiors and exteriors and all of that. So I think there are many elements, and then yesterday we had a very interesting talk where somebody came, sustainability designer, and this lady actually was giving an example of trash to sustainability, you know, using trash. And then she said, and I was actually startled by the fact that, you know, you can bring down the cost of interiors by 2/3. So 1/3 will be the actual cost that will be for that particular, I think, implementation and all that. So you can actually do massive savings by, you know, maybe introducing the sustainable materials and all. So would you like to throw some light on this?
हेलो, थैंक यू सर। जैसे शिखा मैम ने कहा कि शॉर्ट टर्म में, और आशीष जी ने कहा शॉर्ट टर्म अगर हम गोल देखते हैं तो डेट इज़ रियली वेरी एक्सपेंसिव, बट इफ़ वी सीटिंग लॉन्ग टर्म, फॉर एग्जांपल एक प्रोजेक्ट किया था मैंने 5-6 साल पहले, डेट इज़ ऑफ बोर्डिंग स्कूल, उसमें हमने 100 किलोवाट का सोलर पैनल पूरा इंस्टॉल किया था। अभी कुछ टाइम पहले क्लाइंट में वापस मिले तो उनका इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल ऑलमोस्ट 0 आता है। तो अगर हम इसको शॉर्टेज स्पान के लिए देखते हैं तो it's really expensive, too much expensive, but in longer span, it is going to be very cheaper. And the other term, just as you said, recycling all the things. Like अभी जो dismantled building हो रही है, उसके लिए भी आजकल चल रहा है कि जो भी मेटेरियल उससे निकल रहा है, जो ब्रिक्स है, जो कंक्रीट है, उसको रिसाइकिल करके हम एज ए सैंड उसको यूज़ कर सकते हैं। तो नए इनोवेशन से भी काफ़ी हो रहे, तो चीपर भी है, देन रिसाइकलेबल भी है बेसिकली, क्योंकि जो वेस्टेज निकल रहा है उसको हम कहाँ यूज़ करेंगे, वो वेस्टेज बहुत बड़ा वेस्टेज है। सेम पैटर्न में वाटर रिसाइकलिंग है। माइंडसेट की जहाँ तक बात चल रही थी कि माइंडसेट और ट्रेंड की बात, तो माइंडसेट मुझे लगता है कि माइंडसेट ये आज का नहीं है, शायद हमारे एंसेस्टर्स इसको ऑलरेडी यूज़ कर रहे हैं काफ़ी टाइम से, क्योंकि जो पहले स्टेप वेल बनाए जाते थे वो पानी के स्टोरेज के साथ साथ रेन वाटर स्टोरेज के साथ साथ वो वाटर लेवल भी बना के रखते थे, हमारे मेंटेन करके रखते थे, जो आज हम नहीं कर पा रहे हैं किसी न किसी वजह से। उनकी जो थिंकिंग थी काफ़ी लॉन्ग टर्म थी। सेम पैटर्न में मिट्टी के बर्तन यूज़ करते थे, स्टोन मशीनरी यूज़ करते थे। स्टोन मशीनरी आपको पता है जैसे डिस्पेंडल होती है दोबारा हम सेम पैटर्न में यूज़ कर सकते हैं उसको। सेम अभी एमिनिटी का कल मैं देख रहा था, एक बंदे ने मार्बल वेस्ट से वो लोग सैंड और उसको बनाने में लगे हुए हैं। तो काफ़ी चीज़ें जो रिसाइकिल करके शॉर्ट टर्म ना सोचें हम, लॉन्ग टर्म के फेज में देखें तो बहुत ज़्यादा चीपर होने वाला है और एनवायरनमेंट के हिसाब से भी बहुत बेटर हो जाएगा इन फ्यूचर अगर हम सस्टेनिटी को मेंटेन रखते हैं। तो वो मटेरियल हम यूज़ करते हैं, तो स्पेशली इंटीरियर के अंदर बैम्बूज है, जैसे या पेंट, अब नॉन टॉक्सिक पेंट्स आ रहे हैं, वो सब यूज़ करें हम तो काफ़ी अच्छा उससे इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा। Thank you.
So like, you're talking of wastage. I think the fashion and the construction industry put together, सबसे ज़्यादा हमारा waste निकलता है. Fabric waste and it's toxic. Construction, so that's why we're talking about this specific industry. The construction waste को recycle करना is a very difficult thing. We need real good technology for that. But at the same time, interior mein we can use lot of recycled products. You know, if you go to various markets, there are antiques which are resold, and there are so many things, you know, which are resold. You can pick things up and create things. But now the challenge in the actual world that we face is the timeline. Anything, when you have to recreate something, you need time. Even for architects, town planners, if they have to create a sustainable environment, there is a certain, you know, set of people's mindset and time and energy that goes into it. But the client doesn't have that kind of time to give us. So therefore we are like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, ye laga do, end of story. Yeah, so that's where the challenge starts. You know, even if we end up convincing the clients, we don't have time. And it's a problem, I think, with everybody who's practicing.
One more thing I want to add. Interior में भी locally available material जितना हम use कर सके, means within 100 किलोमीटर के range में जो product मिल जाते हैं, लकड़ी हो चाहे stone हो, ना तो वो that is more sustainable.
I think I'll absolutely agree with what you mentioned and what you mentioned, that the problem and the concern come in client mindset itself. So probably that something which we can work upon rather than I think both have to work simultaneously. It is currently a trend, maybe because we are realizing or maybe we are hearing it all around us due to climatization factor or due to material wastages, but we have not yet realized that grassroots level or at an individual level, like let's say even switching off light is sustainability, can we call that? Because it's not about, it's all about not wasting anything consciously. Could be anything. Yesterday we had a session and we were talking about how much of a food are we wasting. You know, the mindset and the thought process start itself. We have a lot of cuisines cooked for a meal today and we don't care. It's going to be used tomorrow or we'll rather throw it away as a trash. So I think the mindset has to start from grassroots level for us to implement and execute in our construction industry. And as you mentioned, the cost parameter is something which we are not able to match at the moment. I think this, if we as a fraternity constantly use and constantly guide our clients, then slowly it can become adaptive. Maybe, you know, we have pot tucks constantly coming into picture, or maybe every client is guided like that. Then slowly I think one can be trained, because the more you heard about it, your brain receives it. Oh, yeah, it's a fact. इतना cost तो लगता है. वो understanding बन जाती है. अभी ऐसे लगता है आप इतना cost क्यों लगा रहे हो? मैडम इसको ऐसा ही कर लेते हैं, बात का बाद में देखेंगे. As you mentioned, I think that's one of the challenge. I'll request Aditi, I think what you have to add on to it.
But as a designers and professional, I think we have the power to educate our clients, all the stakeholders in a project, whatever be the scale of the project. We can educate all the stakeholders, including the major, which is the client, because they are mainly driven by the market choices, what is in the trend, what is in fashion, what will be sellable. So it's sort of our duty also to educate them regarding the sustainable practices or maybe the alternate choices.
I think we are partially already shaping towards that direction,
Yeah,
because
we are
when you look at
definitely.
the marketing and advertisement of paint companies or plywood companies, or even on the commercials TV where we see it, they started selling sustainable hai, green hai. So even the client comes up and says, ma'am, wo wala ek naya cheez aaya hai, can we use that? And I think that's how client mindset
Because
gradually develops.
sustainability is like a USP these days.
Yes.
The use of term sustainability is a trend, but I think if we are talking about it as a practice, it has always been there.
Yes.
In our households, our parents, their parents, they have always been using sustainable, reusing. I mean, everything that used to come into our houses, it was very difficult for us to take it out.
Actually, I read one very interesting article the other day in the paper कि Indian जो हमारा ethos है, it is itself sustainable. क्योंकि हमारा for example they give this typical example that toothbrush is never wasted. So when the toothbrush is worn out, it becomes the cleaning tool, and that is all worn out. It becomes that nada बांधने का so we don't throw out anything. So this is in our ethos, this is in our practices also. Absolutely. लेकिन एक I think I agree with ma'am, Aditi, as she was saying कि ये जो sustainability वाली जो बात है, it has to be told to customers and they have to absorb it. I will give you one case study from my own this thing, from the construction sector only. I mean from your building sector. There was a group called ZED. I don't know if you heard about it. It was in Bangalore, Chennai and Mysore. They were based in and making 100% sustainable greenhouses. And I was in touch with that gentleman called Hari Haran. He's supposed to be a Padma Shri also. So very well-known person. And then this time on my last visit to Bangalore, I asked one of the builders actually I was meeting, what about that Z group and all? He said, "वो तो कभी का बिक गया." I said, this was actually news to me. So I said, what happened to that gentleman who was Padma Shri? He said, unfortunately, he ran into the managerial issues and all that. Or ultimately, unke products were not sold. He was talking about sustainability, but they were very expensive. So they were like, जो भी उनका जो thought process था, it did not gel well with the customers. And that too in a place called Bangalore. Because Bangalore, we all that an innovation capital. But that is a unfortunate reality. That when it comes to sustainability, are we able to afford it? Are we really as customers or conscious customers are really tuned to the need of the hour, and we are actually going a bit away from our affordability to kind of address that or embrace that. So ये एक बहुत बड़ा issue भी हो सकता है. I think that is also a point.
But in our past generations, if we see the examples, I think this choice they have made to use the sustainable practice, that was driven mainly because they had limited resources financially. And now the case has turned, I mean, we are on the other side. We cannot afford sustainability. So I think there needs to be a shift in mindset only, that from grassroots level, as we are talking about the toothbrush example, and there are n numbers. If we start talking about examples from our schools, there are n number of examples. Taking small baby steps is what we need today, if it is not affordable.
I think there are two solutions and approach I could just think at the moment. There are two people who need to be well thought of. Like in design institutions, you saw a sustainability project. Now why they did it? Because we emphasize that your project has to be done on sustainability. Your theme is sustainability. So they worked upon that and their mindset is gradually training as such. Let's say when they will be practicing tomorrow, their approach or the solutions will come in those lines because they started to talk like that. And on the other side, as practicing people, as we have offset and as we have FAR and we have certain norms which we are abide to follow, why not we make it a norm, maybe with a COA or triple ID or any fraternity, that 30% or 40% or 50% of your project has to be sustainability in order to get through as government approvals or whatever. That could be one of the basic start to, start initiating and to be looked at. Because somehow by norms we follow. Let's say if we have to give an offset of 5 feet, I will do it for 2 feet or 3 feet at least.
Basically, government is advertising that one should do the sustainable construction. Their rating system also is there. So every builder is taking rating system as a USP for his project. Maybe he is not working on it, but nowadays it has become the USP of the projects. How it is platinum rated or gold rated or silver rated. There are a number of ratings which our government is promoting. So ultimately government has to come with some solutions to make these products available on cheaper rates. Then only we can get into the mind, that will go into the mindset of general people. You can talk about it, but when you going to implement it, he understands, the client understands that it is, solar panel is necessary, yeah, solar geyser is necessary. But when comes to the cost, okay, we will go for 5 kilowatt rather than 10 kilowatt.
But there is one very pertinent question to all of you because you are all practicing architects. There are some government norms which do not, kind of are implemented, I would say, in the real earnest. For example, there is this norm of water conservation, the rainwater harvesting. And actually, I've been working in this field, so that's how I know that this is actually an eyewash. जो government का mandate है, वो उसको अगर आप implement करने लगे, तो I think it will cost 4 times more than
It's huge. What we generally do is to get the connection from waterworks, we just dig a kuy of 10 feet.
Not even 10 feet.
And
I was told
that's get demolished was first rain.
First rain, actually. So that is the fallacy of government norms today, or I would say कि जो sustainability के नाम पे ये जो एक खेल भी चल रहा है, sorry to use this term, but from the government to the builders to everybody to the ये इसमें भी मतलब I think so you were right कि ये अभी आज की तारीख में एक trend ही है ये बोलना, and I think there is a lot to be done in order to make it really a mindset of all, even including the policy makers and the customers both. What do you have to say?
I would like to add something here. Recently, we had a chance to visit Ramgarh Lake, which died in around 20 years back, 23 years back, with the experts who are working on its rejuvenation. So, there are many, the drying of that lake, it was very astonishing to learn that day that there are many government policies and sustainable practices that has actually led to the drying of the lake. Because there was a policy, apna khet, apna pani. So whatever rainwater was getting into your site, people were harvesting it. And it's a sustainable practice to, practice rainwater harvesting. But what it ultimately led to was the surface water was not following its natural flow. And ultimately, over the years, it would have taken around 50 to 60 or more years, and the lake ultimately dried. So, not always, everything needs to be mindful with proper studies, with proper researches. Blindly following the government policies also leads to disaster sometimes.
I think adding to what Ronak said, that there, people are now, both of you in fact have been saying that yes, we've been, sustainable for a while in our little own ways at home, or people are trying in colleges, the education system is now including the sustainable component. So yes, there is a movement, but there still is time for the mass movement to happen. Only once that happens, I think the sustainable temperament will actually come out, which exists in all of us, but it really needs to come out full-fledged. We need to actually reuse every possible bit. So minimalism is, the design school terminology taught everywhere, but not practiced, Like, we buy clothes every time we want to go for a party, we never have enough clothes. Right? And ठीक है, पोछा बनने तक सिर्फ 2-4 जाते हैं. Not all of our clothes, sometimes we don't wear it, we don't pass it on, they're just there. Because I know my daughter, just because, the first time she'd bought a t-shirt when she'd gone to Paris or Disneyland, she can't even think of fitting into it, but that is still there. The small. So from those little things, I think we all need to have this mass movement. If all of us, as in everyone, even takes care of our own family, make sure our family does what is needed. We can actually take from the environment and yet leave it for the future generations to come. So that's the idea.
Basically, what I feel is first, we as a designer should have that mindset that we have to be sustainable. Then we can make other our minds to digest these things. First, we have to digest ourselves.
एक्चुअली इसमें मैम क्या हो रहा है कि जो आपने भी बात बोला ना कि सस्टेनेबल कंजम्पशन, नाउ दैट इज आल्सो अ बिग थिंग दैट इज बीइंग टॉक्ड अबाउट, एंड आई थिंक वी आर ऑल वेरी कॉन्शियस ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट वी आर एक्चुअली कंज्यूमिंग एवरीथिंग मोर, be it the food, be it the clothes, be it the footwear or whatever. I think, and then yesterday there were some startling figures given by Nikhil, and he said that 60% more we are buying clothes. For example, just एक example है कि जितना हमको चाहिए हमारे wardrobes भरे पड़े हैं, and then there was a little practice that I read somewhere कि आप अगर नया कपड़ा खरीदते हो तो आपको 2 कपड़े रिटायर भी करने चाहिए, you know. So with every new cloth you have to actually send to old या worn out, या तो उनको दे दो या किसी को दे दो, so that it becomes in the cycle. और अभी क्या हो रहा है कि एक साथ फिर वो जब दिवाली की सफाई होती है तो lot of things go out and then you know they go to the landfills ultimately. So this kind of a practice also is, and I think इसमें तो कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, कोई designer thought भी नहीं है, like this is a conscious consumerism which is a thought that it should be universal, you know.
सर रेदर उससे क्या हो रहा है, जो कपड़े एक्स्ट्रा हैं, अब उसके लिए व्हाट वी आर डूइंग इज वी आर मेकिंग मोर नंबर ऑफ वार्डरोब्स इन ड्रेसिंग एरियाज. बेसिकली वी आर मेकिंग मोर नंबर ऑफ वार्डरोब्स टू स्टोर दोज ओल्ड क्लोथ्स व्हिच दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू बी यूज्ड. सो अगेन वी आर क्रिएटिंग समथिंग अनसस्टेनेबल.
What we were also addressing is that when we do a sustainable approach, and a lot of artisans are not, as we had earlier, which was available at cheaper cost, but today when we wanted to practice something, maybe lime plastering or maybe stone masonry in comparison to brick masonry, everything comes at a higher cost. So maybe I think more and more people can be trained, or workshop can be conducted in the rural areas where actually what we want, more people are trained so that demands and supplies are matched and the cost can be reduced for us to actually implement on ground. I think.
Yeah, but I think they need to promote their art also. Why these practices are being practiced in that area? This generation needs why, answers to why. The Western, why we are more inclined towards Western trends without being analyzing, is it suitable for our climate, our people? That is because they are able to sell their things, their products very well. And many concepts that has been practiced in past are being sold by West now because they are being able to market that well, and we are not able to bring our artisans, our art, our craft to that platform that it is easily available and at a lower cost because it's being local. It is local, but still it is costly to us.
This local vocal is also a very good call. I think what she has pointed out, that you know, as they say, food miles. For example, if you are consuming kiwis from New Zealand, but we grow kiwis in Arunachal also, in northeast of India, and they are equally good. So this is also again, I think, you know, something that how much sustainability can we actually adhere to in our day-to-day life. So for example, carbon footprint, he spoke about, you know, whether we are closing our lights or not. Water footprint, they are also even talking about the water footprint these days, that how much water is used for growing, let's say 1 kilogram of wheat, as opposed to 1 kilogram of bajra. I think bajra takes a fraction of the cost, and bajra is 10 times, if not more, more nutritious than wheat. You know, so this also, so these are also the trends actually, not the mindset today. So this is, I think there is a lot to be done actually, you know, in terms to internalize some of these ideas, that what are we eating, what are we consuming, what are we wearing, and what are we doing with the excesses in every regard. So I think this is a topic which is like, you know, we can have an endless debate on it, unending topic. But anything, I think we should open the floor for some of the questions to emerge from the students, because anybody would like to ask anything from these practitioners? Yeah, I know, yeah. Please. Sir.
Sustainability. So, my last time it was not tolerable, this temperature.
Yeah.
You added, but I'll also add. See, as a person, as a human being, not as a designer, not many things can be done, and our ancestors were more sustainable. Their habit were more sustainable. We all discussed, like using this water bottle. We should use less plastic. This is the bare minimum we can do. We can save plastic. We can have less carbon footprints. This is the very minimum we can do. Anyone can do. Thank you.
Any student over there? You're all sustainability students, isn't it?
We leave it open to you just
Yeah.
for discussion. It's not like we're trying to conclude onto
Yeah,
something
we
and
could-
tell you what needs to be done.
You can
It's
comment
prob-
also, not necessarily
What
that
are,
you can
what are
ask.
your
Yeah.
viewpoints on that? Probably Shiva.
Yeah, please. He has a mic. DT has a mic.
Just let it talk whatever you guys feel like.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be technically appropriate for you to participate.
Let us inculcate this habit of participation also. It is more sustainable as a future for you. Speaking, yeah.
Like, I have a question. Like, we are talking about the circular economy, like reusing the things and reutilizing them. What is the end to that? Like, at some point of time, that thing is gonna end. Like, we can use a wood log, a waste of wood log into a shelf. But after what? Like, at some point, that shelf is gonna get destroyed. The material, the resource, is also gonna get wasted. So, like, that's the thing.
Hello. 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 Basically, not state. It is again it is the used to make some different product. So ultimately, a new product comes that old product. So
I'll give you an example what we do. We go to these kabaddi markets many a times. And it's not only shelves, but you find from those antique dressing tables, those broken pillars and broken carved things, we actually take them out, cut them, redesign them, polish them, and we use them as artifacts. And they're hot selling artifacts with my clients. So it goes on and they don't want to take it off. So, it's not just about that piece of shelf. For example, there's a site going on and there was a lot of wastage, some triangular pieces left. So we actually on spot designed a bar, corner bar, where we used all those waste products and waste pieces of wood and we did it from that itself. So there are a lot of things when you're working on site, you get to see that, okay, there's so much of, material there. Let's do something out of it. So it's your presence of mind and your availability and time on a particular site when that material is there, you actually decide what to do. So that's how.
Any other? I think in the end, yeah, we can actually conclude, with some takeaways. That is what I was actually going to revolve this. That what is one thought that you would like to carry for your own profession in terms of sustainability, and then one thought we can just pass on the mic.
We can start it.
So, according to me, being empathetic towards everybody around, be it flora, fauna, humans, all the resources, water, air, our society, is being sustainable. If we are doing that in any project, the outcome is out to be sustainable. There is no need to have a cross checklist or any extra effort is not required. So, if nature and society are our real clients, then we are being sustainable. We should bow our heads to ourselves.
My take is that upgrading for this sustainability, rather I am doing high-end residences and all. So I am not using any sustainable kind of products and for my residences and for my other projects. But there are little things which I think I can do. Many things, some things we generally do like the wastage of tiles or stones, we create products and all. So we will try to do it at a bigger level, larger scale, so that there is less wastage. Thank you.
Hello. I want to just add that सबको इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे कुछ ना कुछ ऐड ऑन करना है सस्टेनेबिलिटी के लिए. गवर्नमेंट काफ़ी ट्राई कर रही है, काफ़ी सब्सिडीज दे रही है, बिल्डिंग कंस्ट्रक्शन पे भी दे रही है, ईवी कार्स एंड है ना, और जो बसेस वगैरह सब पे सब्सिडीज है. तो हमको भी अपनी तरफ से ट्राई करना है और साथ में एजुकेट करना है क्लाइंट्स को, फैमिली को स्पेशली अपने पास, वो ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. थैंक यू.
My one take is let's start a mass movement. That's it. Each one, at least let's train one person. Let's get the sustainable person out of them. That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, thank you so much. I think it was a very insightful session for all of us also indeed. Just to revise, though we know a lot of things, but sometimes it's good to recollect and actually implement it. In that way, it must have been turned out good for us. So thank you so much for the panel talk. And yeah, thank you so much. I think I'll request Sheetal sir to please come onto the stage and address everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Ronak. It was nice coming here as a IIID chairman, and I am thankful to Arch for inviting us, all IIID members, and I am also thankful to our panelists for insightful discussion. And first of all, thanks to you to create this session. And I am very happy to see student work also. All three projects were entirely different, made with this piece of furniture, this Gandhinagar railway station, and the third one, this commercial on PEV structure. Yeah? So it's all diversified projects. You have all the students are working, and as a faculty, you are doing a great work. As a IIID, I'll tell you, we are the industry. We are always available to support you. You, end of the day, students are always be in the market. They need some institute to support. So I, as a IIID chairman, want to invite each faculty member and all students for being member of the IIID. The IIID is a networking platform which will help designer to connect with the industry. And we as a designer get lot of knowledge through industry. See, we know each and everything, but there are lot of new innovation are happening which we don't know. This is the only vendor keep us updating. At IIID we are having vendors also our members. So we can always able to conduct workshops, vendors, technical session to help students and professionals regarding that. And secondly, about the topic, मैं खुल के ये बोलना चाहूँगा कि हमारे पहले सस्टेनेबल प्रैक्टिस ज़्यादा थी. हम बात कर रहे हैं, रियल में नहीं हो रहा है. हम हमारे प्रोजेक्ट्स में देख लीजिए, जब हमने प्रोजेक्ट शुरू किया था, हम टेरेसिंग में करेज ही कराते थे. आज हम खुद टाइल लगवाते हैं, वो वेस्ट वहाँ फेंका जाता है. ठीक है. एंड आप देख लें, बहुत माइंडसेट. हमारे प्लास्टर होता था, अब कंप्लीट फॉल सीलिंग है. तो प्रैक्टिस तो हो नहीं रही है, बातें हो रही है. रियल में वो माइंडसेट बदलेगा तो प्रैक्टिस भी होगी. So this is the initiation. Thank you.
Yeah. One last parting thought for our guests this evening. We have actually also taken one more initiative in under Arts, which is called Arts Design Business Incubator. So we recently started it, ma'am, and we are actually contemplating to do some real, useful courses, short term, like a 5-day course to 45 days, condensed course. And some of these topics, yesterday also we discussed with some visiting guests, So they were also very upbeat about this idea of sustainability. So I would invite you all, sir, to actually come forward and help us in propagating this thought through the practitioners, this triple ID, and we can actually start maybe, I mean, you can suggest more, some courses on sustainable construction or sustainable interiors and or, whatever. I mean, you can give more suggestions, and then I would urge you to come and take lectures, as mentors, because you are the people who can actually make the difference. So this was a small piece of news from my end. Thank you once again on behalf of ARCH and on behalf of the faculty of interiors and architecture headed by Ronak. So thank you all, and I think we can all invite them for a cup of tea. Acha, okay, all right. Oh, okay, okay. So let me hand it over to Ronak now.